Hello, everybody. Welcome to Marvel Monday. Here we are, gentlemen. Happy Monday. We've got 14 people in. We'll give it a real quick second for everybody to get logged in. But we are here to break down episode 3, now in color, of WandaVision. The Wookiee took the night off, so we called a little bit of an audible tonight. Friend of the show from Mouse Ears and Magic podcast. Welcome to the show, Bryan Ferguson. There has been a rip in the fabric of time. The two Bryans are here. Bryan, welcome to the show, buddy. How you been?
Oh man, I've been good, man. Since my beatdown last night.
So what Bryan's talking about, we had an epic showdown last night. We taped an episode of this Dislight podcast. Bryan Lee from United We Fan faced off against Bryan from Mouse Ears and Magic in the Disney Thunderdome. And we pitted the two of them together in a Marvel death match. 3 topics, no holds barred. The two of them went at it. It was so much fun. That's going to air on Wednesday, and we're going to air that on YouTube as well, gentlemen. So it was.
If you thought that was a beatdown, you clearly didn't watch the McGregor fight over the weekend.
Here we are. We have Mike from the Mousepiration podcast. Mike, welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Ethan's here, and he's here for this.
Right. It's magic.
James from Mouse Ears and Magic. Hello to everybody in the chat. James, you have to hold it down this week because we brought Bryan from the chat to the show this week, so it's pretty cool. Alicia is here. Got that shirt. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you to Magic Monday Lane for the merch. The shirts came in. Lori Willie and Dwayne Willie. The shirts came in. They look great. My 8-year-old daughter walked in, saw the shirt, and she had me in hysterics. She goes, "Dad, you have merch?" I don't know where she got that from, but I could not help but crack up. Really, really fun. Matt DeFranco, coach, is in the house. Thank you, sir. Can't wait till it comes. Hello, Melissa. The queen is here. Mike, thank you for coming. Mike from Mousepiration podcast. He just got back from Disney, by the way. I got to pick your brain and find out how the trip was. Katie, hello. Dwayne Willie, hello. Welcome. Bryan with an I and Bryan with a Y. And, of course, Mark and the Wolf. Yeah. So, gentlemen, we kind of said we're not going to recap the show. I feel compelled to say this. If you're in the comment section and you have not yet seen either the first, second, or third episode of WandaVision, thanks for coming and checking us out and just saying hi. But this should be the time where you should bounce, because we're going to spoil some stuff, but 2, we're going to speculate as well. So we don't want to get in trouble with you. We don't want to say some stuff that's going to ruin anything for you. But if you came to have questions answered, you came to the right place. The two Bryans are really they're gonna blow your mind with the amount of knowledge that they're gonna bring to you. And we bring the Wolf in. He does not feel bad when I say this. Wolf is the everyday man when it comes to Marvel.
That's right.
He's new to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so he very much is like many of us, watching the show and just getting a gut reaction. He doesn't know a lot of the backstory, so we keep him around to what we say in the business, keep us honest.
That's right. That's why I'm here.
He keeps us honest.
I do have to say, yellow's a good color, Wolf.
Hey, thank you so much.
You're shining bright, man.
I'm feeling really dapper. I'm really feeling dapper in it. Truthfully, thank you.
I love it.
I love those Spirit jerseys.
That's right. They're so comfortable. They're so comfortable.
Thank you, Melissa. Melissa does not know anything Marvel. She just even said, "I have no clue." Laughing out loud. She's just here to help the algorithm. Give us a like. Give us a thumbs up if you're here. Help us with the algorithm. And I always forget to say this. James generally keeps me straight on this one. Hit the share button. Don't forget. Hit the share button. Help us out. Make sure that you hit that share button. Send us out to the internets like Cobra Kai. Send it to the internets and help us get out there to some other people. Lori Willie, thank you again. Lori, the shirt looks fantastic. It feels great. And we love the Wolf. Everybody loves the Wolf.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jennifer, I'm going to help you keep score. So if you're in the if you're in the comments and you have questions, hit us up with the questions. What we've been doing is we've been reaching out to people. Our questions are there really, and they were generated by you, the fans. If you have a question that pops up, or if you saw something on this week's episode that you really just want, you got to know, hit us up with the question. If we know it, we'll answer. If not, Brian Lee, what are we going to do?
I mean, I can talk about the show for 3 hours just about a guy cutting through a brick wall. Like,
we could speculate. Wolf went shopping.
That's right.
I love it. All right, so guys, I'm going to shut up. The only talking that I really like to do is in the beginning to just get everyone their kudos and get everyone prepped and let everyone know like what the status is of the show and how they can get involved and participate. I'm a Marvel fan. I don't need to hear myself talking this. I come for the Bryans on this.
That's right.
I really do. The two of us, we come for these guys, and we're going to defer to your knowledge. So I'm just gonna throw the questions to you and throw stuff out, and I might have a follow-up question or two, as would Wolf. But the first thing I want to ask you is, let's start with Bryan from United We Fan. What were your thoughts? I know you originally said it didn't live up to the first two for you. It wasn't as good as the first two, but what was your take on this episode?
I don't know if it wasn't as good as the first two. It was, I just don't love the 70s television doesn't have the same charm for me.
Okay.
I mean, Brady Bunch, I like Partridge Family, Mary Tyler Moore Show. Like none of those are shows that I watched on repeat, quite like the Andy Griffith Show or something like that. So they nailed exactly what they wanted to. The backyard when he was building the swing set looked straight out of Brady Bunch. The only thing missing was a football. Like, I mean, just all of that. But I don't know, that theme song is the best one. Like that theme song was incredible. Yeah. I love that opening sequence. But the last 10 minutes, eight minutes of this episode, that's been the best we've seen.
Yeah, I liked the kitchen. See, I like 70s television. So for me, that's where you and I had a little difference of opinion. Just the style spoke to me because I was a huge Brady Bunch fan. I love Mary Tyler Moore. I loved that 70s. Like I loved 70s shows. So for me, this was like a real big one. But Bryan from Mouse Ears and Magic, what was your gut reaction on this one? What'd you think?
See, I'm with Bryan on this. I was never into the 70s type shows. I like the black and whites. I did like the theme song. It was good. There's a lot going on in that intro essentially, so a lot of stuff to pay attention to when you're watching. So you're trying to get bits and pieces of everything while you're watching it. So
yeah, Shauna just said being in color was a huge plus for me. Shauna,
I can see that. I can see that.
I feel that. I identify with that. The Technicolor, I like the title, the Now in Color. It really, I don't know what it was for me, but I connected with it a little bit more so than I did with the black and white. But I thought the black and white was really stylistically, I thought that was really fun. It was just really fun. Go ahead.
Also from talking about color also, but from like an average everyday fan standpoint, when moments of color happened in those episodes, that's when I was able to sort of step back and say something's going on here that I need to sort of be paying attention to. Mm-hmm. And I still maybe don't know exactly what those things were. So in this episode, it felt to me as though because it was all in color, the things that were sort of quote unquote hidden or an Easter egg or whatever you want to call it, those were more difficult to pick up on now, as opposed to when it was in black and white, and all of a sudden, you see the blood and the red and the helicopter red and the yellow. So that to me stood out as a little bit more difficult. But I'm kind of the polar opposite. My parents were huge Brady Bunch fans. Like we had the Brady Bunch CD in like the car, and I think I'll go for a walk outside now. So I loved like the Brady Bunch. So I was really into the first round of this episode. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of questions that came up for me. And again, you already started to hit it on the head, Mark, but I'm just the average fan. I was very confused by a few things for sure.
No, but I say that to you lovingly too, because
I know that
what I love most about you, you're the perfect fan in this, because you are the person that sees it without, there's no filter for you. You see it as it is, and as it's intended to be, a fresh set of eyes. And that's why I love to ask you your opinion. That's why I said from the beginning, I'm going to love having you on this panel,
right? Because
you get to react to it. As an aside, I'm not going to go, I don't want to go far into this, Ethan, but how many times did we talk about Game of Thrones and how I ruined Game of Thrones by reading the novels?
Oh, sure.
where everyone else who was fresh to it, like their mind was blown from week to week. And yet I was sitting there like, womp, womp, because I knew everything was coming.
Right.
And it was more or less just how it played out.
Yeah.
I love that about you, is that you get to see this. You don't have
as it's
coming out. So like, you're the perfect person that I love to just get your reaction. We had a little bit of a back and forth on the black and white. James loves it. Shauna wasn't much of a fan.
Yeah.
The thing I like about it is I like the change of style from week to week. I like the decades, and
it's progressing. I like that too.
Yeah. That I dig that. It adds a little neat overlay to it every single week. But
yeah, some things that I've been picking up on that I really enjoy is the continuity within the house. That the staircase stays in the same spot, the kitchen stays the same spot. Yeah. Like the front door is always kind of at that angle right behind the couch. Like the continuity, they're clearly living in the same home, right, even though it's very, very different. I think that's just the nerd in me. I just think that's cool.
It's very Three's Company-esque.
Yeah, and that was it was definitely one of the influences for the episode. So guys, I want to talk about time, the passage of time, whether it be the house, the changes in the house, the changes in the scenery. One of the questions, I'm going to jump right into it now.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we got from several people is the passage of time. So let's use this question to kind of delve into that topic period. But everyone wants to know, why is Wanda's pregnancy specifically progressing so fast that even Vision can't calculate it? He's so off the trajectory. He's off. And it seems like time is passing at a different rate than let's just call it the outside world at this point. Because we don't know if it's a dream state or what it is, but it seems like time is passing very quickly. Bryan, let's start with Mouse Ears and Magic. Bryan, what are your thoughts on that one? I know for some of these guys, we said this last week, we may not have answers, so these might be speculative, but what's your take on that?
Man, I could go really deep with this, and I'm not sure if we want to jump right into that just yet.
Go do it.
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. If I tell you you've gone too far, then we got a problem.
Okay. So obviously Wanda's in some type of dream state, right? So I think she's being controlled by Mephisto. Her children are Mephisto's. And that's the reason why it is progressing so fast, is because none of them have a concept of time at this point. And I could go a little bit farther, but I would actually like to hear what Bryan has to say about that, because
it's like playing cards in a casino. They don't tell you how time is progressing. There's not a clock around.
Exactly.
And no windows.
It's progressing quickly by our standards, by Vision and Wanda's standards. Sure. Like somebody on the comments just said, like, it's passing because she wants it to pass quickly. Like, I don't think that that's true, because even when Vision does the math, when she's eating her grapefruit, notice that when the doctor compares the size of the baby to all the different kinds of fruit, that she then eats a grapefruit, cuts a pineapple. Vision makes the papaya joke, which, oh man, like dad joke Vision, I am here for it. But I don't think she's doing it, because she clearly gets surprised by Vision saying he'll be here next Friday. Like 3 days from now, like she doesn't know it either. Like, now the question is, it's passing quickly to them. And I think we've got a question coming up as well, Mark. I don't think the doctor questions the rate of this, because time may not be passing the same way for everybody else. Like, time could be passing. We've jumped from the 50s to the 70s in 18 hours. And for the residents of the town, like, it could have very well. Yeah. So, I mean, why hasn't the doctor terrified when he returns? Like, I do love the 70s gag of when Vision comes running up, not afraid to show his powers, by the way. But the doctor's voice just cracks, like, Mr. Vision, like, what are we doing here? Like, I love that part so much. But and then the doctor, like, we're not talking chronologically. So the doctor says he's going to Bermuda. That's a choice. Like, this thing is a Bermuda Triangle. That's what this place is. Like, you can't get in. The doctor says it's hard to escape. He uses that word intentionally. I think he thought he was going to be able to get out. And now, like, he knows Wanda's special. He knows he can't get out. And I don't think it's Wanda's fault. But yeah,
that's a great catch, by the way. Thank you for highlighting that the Bermuda reference was not accidental. Yeah, that's what this place is. They are trapped that that there's been a lot of questions which also stem around the next door neighbor, the crazy stuff that's going on. Look, I know that we don't have a question about it, and we didn't pull it up. Time is playing such an important part. Every single Hydra ad has also mentioned time. Every single one of the ads has Hydra, and it has time as a central component. I don't think that that's by mistake. Did you catch that stuff?
I mean, I can't say that I did. I mean, I noticed the Hydra. I noticed, the ticking, but I never noticed the aspect of time. That's an interesting that's an interesting thing.
Because like in the first commercial, you have the ticking of the toaster. The second one, you obviously have the watch, and then the third one is
I just didn't know who said it. I'm sorry, James.
the third one, you have, she's kind of like looking to get away and relax.
That's true.
To get time away.
Time away. Yeah.
Time away. But crazy. But is it that she doesn't understand why it's so fast, or she doesn't understand her full powers yet?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I agree. I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's both. We have this question which pops up again, very much related to the other one. But again, whether it's the doctor acting strange, the one that we got was the neighbor Herb cutting through the wall, seeming like he glitched out. Anybody want to take that one? Just go.
I want to hear Ethan's Ethan's thought on that.
Yeah, again, I knew something weird was going on, so I just try to pay close attention to those aspects, because he's cutting through the wall with what is seemingly something that he would use to just cut around his shrubbery. And, I sort of begin to think, okay, is this guy trapped too? Is he unable to, is he glitching? Is there something else that's sort of going on here? Because it just seems so out of place that, it was really just confusing, truthfully. I don't know any other way to.
That threw me, as a guy who's read a lot of source material too. Even that moment threw me, guys. Gentlemen, I have to tell you, like, that moment threw me. Yeah. I was really like, I was coming here to get some answers from that one or some speculation. I have no answer for that one. So if either one of you wants to help me out, because I'm lost on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Okay. Well, see, what I think is, this is just speculation, is I think things are starting to unravel a little bit in this dream state. And the people who are trapped into this bubble are starting to realize what's going on, or they're starting to lose kind of their character, and they're starting to do strange things. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of what it seemed like to me.
It's as strange as you can get. When he tells him he's cutting through the wall, he continues to do it and doesn't break eye contact. And the way they use, now the only episode that was filmed in front of a live studio audience was the 50s. So this was a full-blown laugh track. The way they use the laugh track and Wanda touching her belly and getting the Saved by the Bell on, stuff like that behind it, like, they want you to feel a certain way. They want you to think Herb's just being awkward, but the fact that he doesn't break eye contact, and what I read into is this, I mean, whatever hedge trimmer you have, it ain't cutting through concrete like that. So
right.
whatever he was doing, whether it was his turn on post to watch the house to make sure Geraldine doesn't come or whatever, I very much read into the fact that Herb is on one side of the wall and Agnes clearly is on Vision's property with her bike later on. Agnes is on the inside of whatever Herb is cutting through. That brick wall is not a brick wall. It's something else. Like Herb is cutting through something that he's either supposed to or not supposed to. But the fact that Agnes is on the other side of that wall is a big deal to me.
Yep.
Interesting. Do you think that Herb is on the right side of the game here, or is he on the opposite team? And that's the best way that I know how to put that question.
I am very much team Agnes is on Wanda's side. I think Agnes is not Agatha Harkness is a villain at times, but I genuinely believe, and Bryan already said the magical word of Mephisto.
Mhm.
I genuinely believe Agatha Harkness, Agnes, is trying to get these children before Mephisto can get these children.
Yep.
I think Agnes, and for lack of a better term, I say it's too easy. If they go the route of her being the villain, like I don't think it's necessarily easy, but I just think it's so easy to say she's the antagonist here. They've got something up their sleeve, man. Like I think Agnes is, and everybody's afraid of Geraldine. Like we know that.
Yeah.
And listen, in the comics, and I'm gonna take it down to the comics, is Agnes, or what's her name? Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
She trains the Scarlet Witch.
She does, and she's an ally. Yeah, she's an ally and
Helps
somewhat
her
of
harness
and a
her
mentor.
powers. Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
And so let's use this as an opportunity. Bryan sends me some images that we always preload. So do you want to go to the cuts of the screen caps?
We're going deep. We're going deep, but we can do it. So
All right,
go ahead and let's pull up all three, but stick on the 70s one. So there's 50s. That's episode 1.
And you can notice the brooch.
Look at her pendant. Right at the top.
Okay. Same
60s. Same pendant
pendant
with Senior Scratchy there, the star of the show.
with Mephisto. Okay.
Let's let that is getting deep. And then this is from the 3rd episode in the 70s. So leave that up for a second, Mark. You can't zoom in on it super well, even if you try. Yeah, I'll slide over here and so if you look at that pendant though, now this is getting into Speculation Station here, but it looks like a scythe of some sort. With two kids, that this show is playing out for the children, and that this show's going to have tragedy, folks. I'm sorry to tell you. The Grim Reaper could take those children, and that's how Mephisto gets those kids back. The Grim Reaper's helmet, you can go ahead and pull that down, Mark. The Grim Reaper's helmet already made a surprise cameo in the 2nd song. The Grim Reaper is brothers. Oh, man. Okay. The Grim Reaper is brothers with Wonder Man, who has the same brain activity. Vision's entire thing in the books is based off of Simon Williams, an actor, and that is how Vision is able to even gain feelings for Wanda. We have seen Wonder Man in a featurette from Marvel Studios behind the head writer of this show. Wonder Man and the Grim Reaper are coming, and that's all. I think we're getting Mephisto. I think we're getting the Grim Reaper. I think we're getting all of it. Mephisto wants those kids. Agatha wants to save those kids. And I'm very, very sorry for what I have just done. Go ahead, Bryan.
No, I agree. 100%. I look, Mephisto is like he's one of the baddest villains in all of Marvel. I mean, he's the villain to all the superheroes, to everything. And I think what's going to happen is that Agatha is she's going to have to be on their side, because honestly, I don't think he's actually Vision. That's my thing. I don't think he's actually Vision. I don't think he could really do anything to help. So,
I think Mr. Hart would challenge that.
So a question that we just got is, what do you think is actually happening in that conversation between Herb and Agnes at the wall?
That's a great question.
Like, what would you speculate is being said? Because the looks on both of their faces are, Herb looks like he's ready to spill the beans. Agnes seems to be suggesting, like, don't do it, don't say it, because if you do, like, we're all in deep trouble. But it seems like they're trying to put the focus squarely on Monica Rambeau, and they're trying to get rid of her. That's what it seemed like they were trying to do to Vision. That was my take on the conversation. I didn't think that they thought that Wanda would be the one that would eject her from this dream state, but I think they were trying to get Vision to like really be questioning her and saying, like, she's new, she doesn't have any family, she's not married. She just shows up in the town, Does she really belong here?
Yeah, and Vision's entire thought process to that is, I mean, that's all fine, but then no home. Like that changes things. Like not having a home, especially when she showed up at the house saying that her pipes in her ceiling burst, and she grabs her bucket, she's on her way out, and she goes, "Oh yeah, that flood at my house." Like she completely forgot about it. Like she's at Wanda's house to do some snooping, whether she knows she's doing that or not. I think that my prevailing theory is this town of Westview is a real town that's been under this spell. They know everybody in town, and now they've got a new person that they don't know about, and I think that's what they're trying to keep tabs on. If you turn on now, I would never ever in a million years recommend you watch this show as many times as I have watched this show. But if you watch it at least 2 or 3 times, turn on the subtitles, because you actually get full subtitles for what Herb and Agnes are saying to each other. They're talking about her tummy. They're talking about, is she in the house? When did she go in there? All this kind of stuff. Like, so they're clearly keeping tabs on Geraldine, knowing that Wanda is extremely important. Now why? I mean, the helicopter could be involved. The sword necklace obviously means a lot, but I don't know if they know any of those things.
Wow.
Yeah, and it confuses me that if Sword has built this barrier around this town, this is what I think, is Sword is trying to keep this thing contained. And Monica Rambeau is, I don't know, trying to get intel, maybe trying to figure out what's going on.
And I don't think she knows she's doing it.
I don't either. I think once she gets in there, I think she gets kind of overtaken by.
Well,
whatever.
she looks like she wakes up.
Yes.
When she hits the ground, she actually looks like she's waking from a dream. That her eyes kind of look like they're sticky. That it doesn't look like a person. When you're flying through the air and you're tossed several thousand feet
from daylight into like middle of the night. Yeah.
One would think your heart rate would be up, and like I don't think that was concussed. I think she was waking up from a dream or a dream state.
We see Vision do this a couple times too. Mm-hmm. Like he kind of realizes something's not right.
Yeah,
and then boom, things kind of rewind a little bit.
So to piggyback, we had one question which was based on that. Why do you think, or why the question from the viewer was, why did she throw Geraldine out of the reality back into current day?
Well, to take like a step back from that, it almost seemed as though Geraldine made this grave mistake in bringing up her brother. And everything sort of seemed to like a switch almost went off in Wanda's head that was like, what did you just say to me? Yeah. And it was like she was about to throw her hands. But that to me stuck out because all of a sudden, like, it almost seemed as though Geraldine knew that she made a mistake, but then couldn't go back and like explain it further. So that to me was really odd, because then a few minutes later, she's thrown out into this, into the nighttime, we'll call it, into this whole other, what we'll call maybe current day. It just was a really weird exchange, and it left me with a lot of questions of like, okay, what really happened here? Like, obviously Wanda's brother has passed away and is dead, and she brings up Ultron and all of those things sort of, it was just strange to me that they're going to coincide so much with that, I guess, universe. I mean, maybe I'm saying that wrong.
And it's also about the third or fourth time now that Wanda, whenever there's talk of abnormalities or something is not going according to script, that Wanda either resets the scene, or in this case, she ejects the player from the scene. She can't do that with Vision. She doesn't want to do that with Vision.
No.
So she just rewinds it. She just rewinds it back and then says, because he'll say like, something's not right here, Wanda, and then rewind. Let's play that again.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that was her this time. It was her in the second episode. I think this time when it resets and Vision says something's wrong here, I don't think that was Wanda.
I don't either.
I don't. I could be wrong. I don't think it was Wanda. But go ahead, Bryan Ferguson, because I've got this long thought that I want to kind of formulate talking about Geraldine getting thrown out and all that
Do
kind of
it.
stuff. So go
Do
ahead.
it. I
Great.
just want do it.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah, do
I want to formulate in my head for just a
Oh,
minute.
okay,
So
go
I
ahead.
want to let Brian go.
Well,
I want to make sure I've got it all in a row.
All right, Brian,
Yeah,
tag
so-
in.
Yeah, so the whole rewinding, I mean, you could see in this episode that Wanda is kind of caught off guard by it, right? So she's kind of like, Vision's like, hey, something's just not right. And all of a sudden, bam, they're back. But she kind of has kind of like a surprised look on her face, like, what just happened type deal. And honestly, I think it's part of Mephisto trying to keep everybody in this dream state in a kind of a happy medium. I need everybody to be normal so I can make this happen, so I can get these kids. That is what I think is happening here. I mean, and it makes sense because once death comes in, he's got to grab the kids and get them to Mephisto. So if everybody's kind of chill, it can happen very easily.
Yeah, so I did have a friend say that they were tapping out on the show because it's the premise of a robot having children with a witch was a little too out there. I said, well, the good news is the robot's probably not the father of the kids, so
Exactly.
stick with it. But all right, are we ready for me to do my thing for a second here?
Wow.
Please, for the love of goodness.
Okay. So I want to highlight how absolutely incredible this acting performance is from Elizabeth Olsen in this scene. The way they built this entire scene of alternating the conversations between Vision, Agnes, and Herb with the conversation of Monica, and you're learning that Monica's not who she says she is. And again, I'm sorry, last week we told you it was Monica Rambeau, but if Kevin Feige gives me that information, I'm just going to give it. But okay, so she comes to a realization that I was a twin. Like Mark, we had this conversation. You think that Wanda conjured up the second baby because Vision gave in with the name. That's not how I see it, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that before I go on.
I felt like just the way the scene played out, I felt like that she was done. She was no longer in pain. That it seemed like the act itself was over, that the birthing scene was over, that the doctor, even walked out of the room thinking we were done. And then we
already learned that guy was only capable of really counting fingers and toes.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, so. Vision, and then enter Vision, who then holds Tommy. When he gives Tommy the name, there's an exchange between them. And it seemed like that had been a serious debate throughout the episode, was what do we name the son? And it seemed like in that moment, that gesture of love from Vision, it seemed like then in that moment, the way that I just saw that scene, I'm probably totally wrong, but that gesture, that act of love on his part to give in on the name, it seemed like there was a clear beat in that moment, that you could feel that was very pronounced, that she was so happy with him doing that. And then boom, instantly she starts to birth Billy.
I can see where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with it. And the thing that tells me that it wasn't that way, Sean, you're onto something. Yep. But I think the thing that tells me the other way is, speaking as a father of 4, I can tell you, I know that the second a mother has a baby, that her belly doesn't go all the way back down. Like, yeah. I do understand that, but after Tommy's born, like, her belly is still very, very pregnant. So I think that second baby, it doesn't really matter. Like, in the grand scheme, there's 2 kids, and I think that's just Mephisto playing the odds here and at least getting one of the 2, if not getting both of them. But okay, so Elizabeth Olsen, and she goes from I'm a twin, and she's willing to let herself experience, especially when she sings in Sokovian, which is so powerful. That scene is incredible. And she says Pietro's name in that Sokovian accent, just all of that. Like, she's falling back into the person she used to be, but she's only willing to let herself experience that much pain and emotion. The word Ultron is supposed to be as jarring as the word Ultron was. because that's when Wanda realizes, what did you just say? And she completely flips. You see it in her eyes. You see a tear drop down her cheek and everything. And you can watch, if you watch Geraldine in that scene, she's having this realization that she's remembering something that she's not supposed to be remembering. Yeah. She's over at this house and she tells a story about being promoted at her job, which very well could come back and mean how she got her job at Sword or something like that. But she's realizing she's remembering this. And then, like Ethan said, either she knew she messed up and just couldn't say it again, or she got sucked back into that reality, but it didn't reset on her because Wanda knew, you're not somebody who's supposed to be here. I'm going to get rid of you. Yeah. And she notices the necklace, and I don't think she would care about the necklace except for the fact that she saw it on the back of the beekeeper. So, I mean, that's where the sword makes her freak out. And then Monica says, let me hold the kids. And she goes full blown mama bear and comes at her. But she throws her out because she knows she's not supposed to be there. And she's a threat to those children.
Yeah.
Wanda knowing full well those children shouldn't exist.
Well, it brings up an interesting point. We got this about 4 or 5 times. Is Wanda really in control here?
I'll start here, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
The couple things that I noticed, and really it was just 2. The first one was the scene with they're setting up the crib, they're setting up the sort of the nursery area, and all of a sudden the butterflies come to life. That to me, because she says something along the lines of like, I didn't do that. And, we sort of know her to be so powerful and so, able that for her not to do something like that and know that she didn't do it, that to me was really interesting. And the second thing that happened was the stork, which Sean kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but Sean, what was interesting to me was she couldn't make it disappear. She tried to make it disappear with the smoke. She couldn't do that.
Yeah, so we've never seen their powers look like smoke either. We've never seen that.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's Bryan. When we came on before we went on air, Bryan hit me with the idea of she can't control the stork because the stork is not of her creation. The stork is Mephisto.
Oh.
So we've seen. And Bryan Lee expanded upon that we've seen Mephisto in all 3 episodes already. That we've seen him.
Maybe Senior Scratchy is not near as crazy as the stork.
Bryan, go ahead, hit us with it, man. Hit us over the head with the Scratchy name.
Well, so you made me forget because
is it Nicholas Scratch? Is that what you're thinking?
Scratch. Yep. So Senior Scratchy, the rabbit. I think he's always around. I'm talking about Mephisto. And then once Rambo comes into the scene, all of a sudden the stork comes in and is trying to kind of disrupt what's going on, is what I think is happening. And
I agree with that 100%.
So can I ask a question? I'm sorry, but Mephisto. So I know a villain from the sort of MCU world to be Thanos. Is this guy worse than Thanos?
I mean, in the comics, he's literally the devil.
He's
straight up. So, I mean, he's I would define that guy as a pretty bad guy. Okay. Now, I don't know if they're going to go full blown devil, but they're going to go with demon, probably more than that. A Hades kind of character more than anything I would expect.
Yeah. Understood. Sorry, I just wanted the gangster.
No, that's a great. That's a great question. Yeah.
So the question was, and we know the stork came to life just before Monica showed up, but he comes into the room. I mean, if he is the devil, he's biting fish. I mean, that could mean something or a stork just eats fish. That's also possible. But she can't get rid of the stork because she's not in full control here. Something has more power than her and it lets her do what she wants, but getting rid of the stork is not what this person wants. Now, the symbolism to the stork is the deliverer of the children. I mean, that's the symbolism. It doesn't go any further than that. And you can't be more the deliverer of the children than being the father of the children.
Boom.
Wow.
They're not Vision's kids. Yeah, they're not Vision's kids.
Wow.
But the books, have explained this on several occasions that he was not able to have children. She, in the books, she manifests them herself. That she creates the children herself without Vision. He can't have kids. He can't. He's a synthezoid. He does not have the biological capability to produce children. So I don't know where they're going with this, but they're not his kids.
But in that book, she doesn't create them. She thinks she did.
Yeah.
But Mephisto had a gigantic role in that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ethan. It looked like you had something.
No, I'm blown away by the whole thing. It is really interesting, and I really do feel like just sort of the common fan in this situation where I'm just like, wow.
Ethan, how do you so to follow up with that, how do you react to moments like the last 4 or 3 minutes then when Geraldine gets ejected? Like, what's your gut reaction to that? Is because like I go crazy.
Sure.
But like, what are your taking moments like that?
For me, I'm just like, all right, well, get me to next week, because I hope that they'll answer more questions. But what ends up happening is it's sort of like the beekeeper. Like the beekeeper came out at the end of episode 2, and they didn't necessarily answer any of the questions about that in the next episode. So it's like, oh gosh, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that to me it's frustrating in a way, because I like having the answer, sort of like with Mando, in a sense. Like you always got an idea of what was going to happen next.
Yep.
With this, you have absolutely no clue really where it's going to take you. And I think that's why I think for like people like Bryan and Bryan, like this thing is so incredibly packed that you're watching for every single detail. And that's why you're watching it 3, 4, 5 times. And there's someone like me who's like, I'll watch it twice because I want to make sure that I can have a good conversation about it. But I'm so lost that I'm just trying to pick up the little nuancy things that just don't make sense.
Yeah.
And then rewatching it to make sure that that's really the case.
Yeah. Just a quick hello to Marianne, who's listening from Maine. Awesome. Marianne, thanks for joining us here on Marvel Monday. Yeah. Funny that you mentioned the term "I'm lost," because I've used this analogy now at least 3 times. For me, this is very much reminiscent of Lost, where I'm poring over every single detail in every scene. That's
you better
what
get more answers than that show provided.
Yeah, and I think we will too, and I really think we will. But that's what I love so much about the names and the symbolism and the background art. That to me is what makes this show so compelling. On the surface, it's a jaunt through these decades of comedies, and that's just the surface of it. There's so much going on beneath that storyline. There's such a strong undercurrent that you really got to get a feel for it. So guys, really quick, as we wrap this one up, where do you think we're going? We didn't do this in the first week. There was just not enough really to go with, but now that we've peeled back a little bit, we've seen the outside world, where do you think we start to go now? The children are here. Like, where do you think we're going to go? Are we going to get there quick, or is, what's the trajectory at this point?
Is it bad for me to say that I'm just really excited for Wanda to be in the devil costume? Like, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I'm looking forward to, like, when does that episode air? Because
Scarlet Witch. Jared, I just want to go real quick. Jared said, "This is what's frustrated me so far. There's very little story development." It's
definitely something that you've got to. It's not something necessarily that you need to feel as though you're invested in. You just have to enjoy it for what it is. And I think my wife is watching the show because she's just infatuated with the idea of something. It's different. It really is. It's different. And I think that for the most part, your everyday fan is going to enjoy it. So then come here to get the answers, because that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at you, Wolf. I'm laughing at Lori Willie, who said, "Lost, do you want to answer those questions as well?" That might be that's a United We fan topic, and Bryan seems to not want to touch it right now, so he's not going there.
All I want to know is how the Asian guy was running to, I think his name's Sun, where he was running to the birth, and then all of a sudden didn't get to the birth of the child we thought was his child all along. Like, I'm hung up on that season 4 episode. Go ahead, Bryan.
Oh man, I'm not sure where it's going to go. But
Do you see Chris's comment, by the way? Because I know that you're a Fantastic Four. He says the twins can lead into a Doctor Doom storyline.
There's already so much happening. I don't think so.
Not at this point. Not at this point.
Go ahead, Bryan. Cool, I'm sorry, I broke your concentration.
No, you're good, man. I think things are going to start unraveling. I think as you've seen from 1 to 2 to 3, things are going to start progressing a lot faster. Yeah. And I think that things are going to come a little more to fruition than what they have been. So I think we're going to get a lot more answers this week. I hope we do anyway.
Well, I think we're running out of decades here too, gentlemen. You know, we were in the 70s.
We got 3 left. We got 3 left.
Yeah.
So
unless they take a deep dive back into the Renaissance, that'd be kind of cool.
and then we're in Bridgerton, and then I get my Bridgerton conversation.
That's
right. That's what the soap opera thing was. I'm a huge fan of Bridgerton, so that's what that dig was from James from House Years of Magic. Yeah,
so I think the kids are going to age quickly. I think by the time we get to the 90s, we get to Full House, we get to stuff like that. I think the kids are going to be like teenagers. If we don't get Phil Jones, who is my favorite character on the show, when the power goes out after his wife asks if the earrings make it look fat, and his only response is, "Oh, thank God!" Like I love that character so much. If we don't get some sort of Friends crossover and he plays Ross, then it's all for nothing because he looks exactly like Ross Geller. But I think I could be a sucker for this. But follow me along, as I think we're getting some answers this week because 1, the media was given 3 episodes to preview. I think part of that leads to the 4th episode has some stuff that can very well ruin it if it got out. 2 is sorry, James broke my concentration. 2 is I think we're going to see it play out from the standpoint of Monica flying out of that bubble because Sword's got their guns pulled on her. I think they're all going to realize, oh, it's just Monica. Like it's not anybody else. Like I think they don't lower their guns in the show this time around, but I think the guns are going to get lowered pretty quickly. Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis have to make an appearance soon. I think we're going to start piecing together more of the outside world with the inside world now that we know an outside world exists. Mm-hmm. I think, and Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen both on Twitter have said, just wait until you see this week. It's gonna blow your mind, like kind of stuff. So I think the answers are going to start coming. Yeah. But what makes me so excited is the rewatchability of this show. Like, think about the second time you watched The Sixth Sense. Like, how different of a movie was that movie? Like, going back now, once we know the answers, like once you rewatch this show, you're going to say, oh, yeah, well, should have known that, should have known this, should have known that. Like, I'm just so excited for the rewatchability of it.
Yeah, Sebastian, I'm just going to put this back up again. I like this one. Sebastian said, same. I think they need to be teenagers to set them up for their own content. Yeah, I think that we've already been teased the trick-or-treating. I think they're obviously going to be old enough to be doing that activity. So I think we're going to see Billy and Tommy grow up.
Ethan gets his wish.
Yeah, so to speak.
That's right.
I love how Marc left it up with excited for it. Dwayne, do you have Dwayne sold on the rewatchability? He said, I watched it 3 times this weekend.
Dwayne, watch it once with subtitles. I promise. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I'm really psyched. The show has me looking forward to every single Friday. I long for this. I mean this. I long for this day, if only as a fan, to like just talk it out with all of you, because I have all these thoughts that constantly go through my head of what does this mean? And I thought that maybe the stork was Mephisto and that we've been seeing him all along. But hearing people in the comments and then hearing you guys talk about it makes me feel so good to kind of validate that feeling. But gentlemen, I can't do any better than the 2 guys that are here, the 2 Bryans. Thank you again, guys. I love having you here. I mean, Marvel Monday is just getting started. This is the 2nd week of an entire year of Marvel Monday. Wolf, dude, again, man, props to you. Thank you for being the everyday fan for us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I mean that. I really appreciate it. We need you here. And we love having you here because you give us a perspective of, like, I'm somewhere in the middle. that it's been like 20 something years since I've read a lot of these books.
Yeah.
But I still going into it, I have a lot of preconceived notions about what I'm seeing. And 9 times out of 10, I'm probably wrong too. Whereas I was always confident with my Mando predictions.
Sure. Yeah, you were.
Zero confidence.
Yeah.
With Marvel.
Well, I have no confidence either. I have the only thing I'm confident in, Mark, is that Professor X is not going to show up. I'm sorry to tell you.
Again, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be wrong, but that'll be the one time I'm right.
Yep. I got that cup too.
I just want to point this out to the three of you, and I don't take any responsibility for the lone angry emoji that we have going on. For whoever emoted the angry emoji, clearly that was for Bryan from Mouse Ears and Magic. So I hold him responsible. I don't know if you can see the emojis in the top corner for the broadcast, but we have 12 or 13 emojis, thumbs up, a heart, and then there's one lone angry emoji. I bear no responsibility for that. That was Bryan. That was all Bryan. Because we didn't get any madness. There was no madness last week. Bryan comes on the 1 week and already people are ticked off at us. So
there we go.
It's not. It's not.
If I knew it was that easy to sabotage, man, like I would have done that a long time ago.
And again, it's all jokes. Bryan, we're thank you for filling in for the Wookiee. We love having you here. And, these guys are going to be this is going to be our Marvel crew that we move forward with. And the Wookiee's going to come in. We have Marc, your co-host from United We Fan, that we're going to be bringing in when his schedule allows for it. So I'm happy to just sit back and listen for once in the podcast room. You guys can shut me up. Please shut me up. I love being shut up. I just want to off topic. Are we going to have a watching party on the group? Yeah. We're going to have to, right? In February. Because at that point, that's going to be either the finale or...
probably right
we'll be near the end. The finale is March 5th.
Yeah. Close to it. So, yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to set it up. At least I know why we have 1 star and 1 anger emoji. Yeah. I don't know. It's not. I love Bryan. So good. So, gentlemen, thanks again for hanging out for Marvel Monday. Thank you to those of you who hung with us. Again, next Monday, we're breaking it down, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this Diz Life Network, over on YouTube, on our page, and in our group. Leave us a comment. If you're watching on replay, let us know that if you enjoyed, and leave us a comment or a prediction for this week or for next as well.
Yes.
And gentlemen, we've settled on our sign off. Excelsior.
For the children.
Have a wonderful week for the children. Excelsior.
For the children.
See you later, folks.